While formerly the United States and Soviet Union were allies in World War II, traces of tension began back with the secret non-aggression pact between Stalin and Germany. This caused suspicion with the United States. However, when Germany broke this pact by invading the Soviet Union, Stalin switched his allegiance to the Allies. This switch, along with the United States' involvement, helped push Germany back late in the war. As World War II in Europe was coming to a close, the Allied leaders met at Yalta. This conference was a meeting between the Soviet Union, the United States, and the United Kingdom in February 1945. The leaders of these countries were Joseph Stalin, Franklin Roosevelt, and Winston Churchill, respectively. However, each country came with their own agenda. The United States wanted the Soviet Union to join the war against Japan, while the Soviet Union wanted to secure its borders from future invasions from Germany. Along with this, the two countries were pushing for opposite governments. The United States wanted democracy for Eastern European countries, while the Soviet Union wanted communism. This is what would lead to friction later on. Other main topics covered at Yalta included what to do with liberated Europe, the remnants of Germany and their reparations, and a new Polish government. The Declaration of Liberated Europe stated that the Big Three would assist any countries in need of interim governments or relief measures, and they would allow free elections for leaders in liberated areas. As for Germany, it was decided that the country would be split into 4 zones for the United States, Soviet Union, United Kingdom, and France. Along with that, Germany would have to pay for losses sustained by the Allies. They would pay by eliminating German supplies which could be used for an uprising, use of German labor, delivery of German goods, and eventually they would have to pay $22 billion, 50% of which would go to the Soviet Union, who sustained terrible losses in World War II. Finally, Poland would establish a provisional government, which would consist of not only communist but democratic elements. These issues would later be addressed at the Potsdam Conference in July 1945. Differences between these conferences would be the leaders and the conditions that they were in. Franklin Roosevelt had died to be succeeded by Harry Truman, and Britain had elected a new Prime Minister, Clement Attlee. The conflict in Europe had also ended, so war talks had shifted to the combat in the Pacific. Before the conference, Truman had learned of the first testings of the atomic bomb. While Truman continued to request Stalin's help, he did not formally tell him the news. If the atomic bomb succeeded, the United States would not need help from Russia against Japan. Another issue the United States was angry about was the size of the reparations that went to the Soviets. In addition, a communist government was being set up in Poland, and Stalin had arrested the non-communist leaders of the country. Europe was dominating a majority of the conversation at Potsdam, especially how communists were coming into power in recently freed countries. This issue of opposing governments in Europe is what would establish the basis of the Truman Doctrine.